If you're watching this video, it's a good chance you're trying to make a decision between two phones right now, the A54 and the S23. You see the price difference, but you want to know what is the best for you between these two phones. This is the A54 starting at $375. It has a lot of good things going for it. I just made a review on my channel recently, and you can find that down below. Then we have the S23 from Samsung. Now, I don't have the S23, but spec-wise, it's the same as the S23 Plus, just has a smaller screen. So let's use our imagination here. The A54 is 6.4 inches and the S23 is 6.1 inches. On paper, these phones don't compete. We have a flagship phone and a budget phone, but phone comparisons are not one on paper, they're one in the streets. So let's take it to the street. Or the basement, I guess. Spec-wise, the A54 comes with 6 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabyte of storage to start off. That can go up to 256 gigabytes of storage. You also have expandable storage, and it also has a mid-level Exynos 1380 chip inside. The S23 comes with 256 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM, and also there is no expandable storage. What you get is what you get. It also comes with the flagship Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 made for Galaxy. In the hand, you can tell the S23 is a more expensive phone, but there isn't much that jumps out at you. Sure, it has those thinner bezels and the frosted back glass, and that's about it. There's not a lot more premium things on the outside of the phone that you can tell. The S23 does have a newer level of Gorilla Glass, but I don't think that's truly that important. So let's go to the back of the phones. Both phones are a 50 megapixel primary shooter. The A54 has a 12 megapixel ultra wide and a 5 megapixel macro. S23 has a 10 megapixel telephoto and 12 megapixel ultra wide. There is a 32 megapixel front-facing camera on the A54, whereas the S23 only has 12 megapixels, but it does have dual pixel autofocus and a few other enhancements. On paper, the A54 sounds like it could be a better package for the camera. However, image quality is everything, and the S23 has additional image processing with the Snapdragon chip and other things too. We'll do a full camera comparison later in the video so you can see what I mean, so stay tuned for that. By the way, guys, if you're liking this video, make sure you hit subscribe down below. And also, if you're looking to buy one of these phones, use my links down below. I get a little bit of kickback, but it definitely helps the channel. If you're a person that wants to game on your phone, then the S23 is going to be your choice. Playing any higher end games, the A54 saps the battery and the frame rate just isn't that good compared to the S23, where this phone was absolutely designed for gaming. When running some benchmarks, you can see the A54 goes from 12 frames per second to 21 at the max, where the S22 goes from 37 to 99 frames per second. I don't think the typical A54 customer will be playing those high-end games, but I did find the test to be interesting and it matched up my true experience. Now, software-wise, both phones are the same with the newest One UI software. There isn't anything specific to each phone, but when it comes to performance between the phones, it's pretty obvious. When launching apps, the A54 has a small hitch. Yeah, it works, but it just feels a little bit slower compared to the S23. When going between apps, same thing, just a slight delay. But beyond that, once you're in the apps, they pretty much act the same. Now, this does depend on the type of app you're doing. So if you're doing a more intensive app like video editing or photo editing, then that disparity gets that much greater. The S23 obviously just has perfect performance. This chip is super fast, not many faster phones out there, and the software is well optimized. So that is going to be something better you're going to get because you're paying more money. Okay, let's go to the camera and compare these photos and videos. We'll do camera A and camera B. At the end of this test, tell me which one is which. Some images definitely look better than others when you're comparing these two. I like phone A's images a lot better, but then when you look at this photo right here, phone B, this looks much more realistic. There's not that extra light coming in, but then phone A has more detail here and more color in the background. Phone B blurs out the Callaway logo, phone A does not. Here is another example with phone A struggling with this extra light. It doesn't know what to do with it. Here, phone B is blurry. And then right here, phone A, you can see more color and a lot more detail in the back of the head. And then phone A, you have better zoom than phone B. When we take a look at these night images, these are literally night and day. You can tell that phone A does a much better job with night processing than phone B. So here's a look at phone A versus phone B video. In my opinion, looking at phone A, you can see the color is a lot different than phone B. Once again, I think the color has much more depth in phone A. And then when we do a zoom in with phone A and phone B, you can see there's more detail with phone A when you do the zoom in, especially when it comes to like the waves, those ripples and things like that. I felt phone B did a really great job with this video here, but if you look at some of the details like my hoodie or some of the leaves, it loses a lot of details and phone A still retains that information. This video is a stabilization test and you can see phone A is pretty stable whereas phone B is just bouncing around. Okay, front facing video right here. Here is the audio quality differences. This is the A54 audio. This is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. And this is the S22 audio. This is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Which one looks better? Which one sounds better? And also, how does it actually look? So I'm sure you guessed it by now. Phone A is the S23, phone B is the A54. And as you can see with both examples, both cameras outside do just fine. The biggest difference is when it comes to stabilization and then also night photography. That is where you see the S23 do a much better job. But once again, for your average user, both phones will work out great for you. Although the A54 has a bigger battery, I did find battery life to be very similar. I will say on the S23, when you're doing high intensity applications or gaming, I did find the battery to hold itself a lot better. When you have the A54 pushing it and doing things that a normal A54 user wouldn't do, like some gaming, then the battery life seemed to just disappear when using it. So it just depends on the way you use your phone, but pretty much you should be okay using the phone all day as a normal user. So what do you think? As I said in the beginning, the A54 is a great budget option for many people. As long as you're not gaming or looking to create content, and when you compare the camera, it's a downgrade as expected, but for most people who just post to social media for fun, then this camera most likely is good enough for you. So those are my thoughts. I wanna know what yours are. Let me know down below. Kevin the Tech Ninja, have a wonderful day and take care.